My life was a well-worn routine, the kind you slip into without noticing. At 32, I was content with my bachelor existence, coding by day, gym by evening, and late nights lost in sci-fi novels or the glow of a gaming console. My small apartment, with its mismatched furniture and a coffee maker that groaned like an old friend, was enough. No drama, no heartbreak, just me and my freedom. I wasn't looking for change, but change, as it often does, found me in the most mundane of places, a crowded café on a crisp October morning. The air was thick with the scent of roasted beans and the murmur of conversations, the wooden floor scuffed from countless footsteps. I stood at the counter, waiting for my usual black coffee, scrolling through emails on my phone, when it happened. A soft thud, a splash, and suddenly my shirt was soaked, the warm sting of coffee seeping through to my skin. I looked up, startled, into a pair of wide, hazel eyes framed by dark lashes, her face frozen in horror. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she blurted, her voice a mix of panic and embarrassment. She fumbled for napkins, her hands darting to the counter, her cheeks flushing a deep pink. Her dark hair, loose and slightly wavy, fell over one shoulder as she leaned forward, dabbing uselessly at my shirt. "I didn't see you. I'm such a klutz." I couldn't help but laugh, the sound surprising even me. "It's fine, really," I said, taking a step back, my hands raised in mock surrender. "Shirt's washable." "You okay?" I noticed her empty cup on the floor. The lid popped off, a small puddle of latte spreading across the tiles. She groaned, covering her face with one hand. "I'm fine, just mortified. I owe you a shirt, or at least a coffee." Her voice had a lilt, a warmth that made the chaos feel oddly charming. I caught her name from barista's call, Lena. It suited her, I thought, simple yet striking. "Don't worry about it," I said, brushing off her offer. But then on impulse, I added, "Let me get you another coffee, though. Seems only fair." I gestured her spilled cup, and she hesitated, her lips parting as if to protest, then softening into a shy smile. "All right," she said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "But only if you let me sit with you. I need to redeem myself." And so, we ended up at a small table by the window, the glass fog from the morning chill, the cafe's jazz playlist weaving through our halting conversation. My coffee was strong and bitter. Hers a frothy latte she sipped slowly, her fingers tracing the rim of the cup. Lena was 29, a graphic designer who loved old vinyl records and hated mornings. She laughed easily, her eyes crinkling at the corners, and told me about her cat Miso, who knocked over her plants daily. I shared my own quirks, my obsession with perfecting pour-over coffee, my habit of annotating books in the margins. The words flowed, effortless, like we'd known each other longer than 20 minutes. By the time we left, the sun had broken through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the street. We exchanged numbers, her fingers brushing mine as she handed me her phone. "Don't be a stranger," she said, her smile lingering as she walked away, her scarf fluttering in the breeze. I stood there, coffee cup still in hand, feeling a spark I hadn't expected, a flicker of something new. That week, we met again, first for a walk in the park, the air crisp with the scent of fallen leaves, the crunch of gravel under our shoes. Lena wore an oversized sweater, her hands tucked into the sleeves, and pointed out trees she swore looked like animals. We laughed over street tacos from a food truck, the neon lights of the city flickering to life around us. Another day, we browsed a record store, her fingers skimming vinyl sleeves as she told me about her dad's old jazz collection. Each moment felt like a brushstroke, painting a connection I hadn't realized I was craving. I started jotting notes in a small notebook I kept in my pocket, her laugh, sharp and bright like a bell, the way she squinted at street signs, the faint freckles across her nose that showed up in sunlight. Each night, I'd replay our conversations, the warmth of her voice lingering like the aftertaste of good coffee. For the first time in years, I felt awake, alive in a way my routine had dulled. But then on a rainy Monday, the city cloaked in gray, I saw her again, not with me. I was crossing the street, my umbrella slick with drizzle, when I spotted her in the park across the way. She was laughing, her head tilted back, her umbrella forgotten as rain speckled her hair. A man stood beside her, tall, sharp-jawed, his coat tailored, his hand brushing her arm as they walked. They moved with an ease that twisted something in my chest, a pang I didn't want to name. I stood frozen, the rain tapping my umbrella, my coffee growing cold in my hand. They didn't see me, and I didn't call out. I just watched, the distance between us suddenly more than just a street. The notebook in my pocket felt heavy, its pages filled with moments that now seemed fragile, uncertain. I turned away, the city's swallowing my steps, and headed home, the spark I felt flickering under the weight of doubt. That night, I stared at my phone, her last text, a goofy meme about cats, still unanswered. I wanted to ask about the man, but we weren't anything official, not yet. She was free to walk with whoever she wanted, to laugh with whoever made her smile. Still, the image of them lingered, and I wondered if I'd misread everything, if the connection I'd felt was one-sided. I typed out a message, then deleted it, the cursor blinking like a challenge. Finally, I sent something simple. Hey, had fun this week. You free tomorrow? Her reply came quick, a string of emojis and a definitely. I exhaled, the tension easing but not gone. I didn't know what I'd say when I saw her, but I knew I couldn't let the doubt fester. Step by step, I'd find out where we stood, even if it meant facing a truth I wasn't ready for. The next morning, I woke to the patter of rain against my apartment window, the city outside cloaked in a gray haze that mirrored the unease in my chest. My phone buzzed on a nightstand, Lena's reply glowing on the screen. Coffee at 11? Same place. I stared at it, the word simple but heavy, like a door half open to answers I wasn't sure I wanted. The image of her laughing with that man in the park clung to me, sharp as the scent of damp asphalt drifting through the cracked window. I typed back, sounds good, and got up, the wooden floor cold under my feet, my notebook still on the kitchen counter, its pages a quiet record of a week that felt like a lifetime ago. The café was busier than usual, the air thick with a hum of voices and the clink of cups, the wooden tables slick with condensation from the rainy morning. I arrived early, claiming our usual spot by the window, the glass streaked with rivulets that blurred the street outside. My coffee sat untouched, steam curling upward like my spiraling thoughts. I'd spent the night replaying that moment in the park, her laugh, his hand on her arm, the ease between them. We weren't exclusive, I reminded myself. Lena owed me nothing, but the pang in my chest didn't care about logic. It wanted answers, even if they hurt. She walked in at 11:03, her umbrella dripping, her dark hair damp and clinging to her cheeks. She wore a green raincoat, the kind that made her look like she belonged in a movie, and her smile was bright but cautious, like she sent something off. Hey, you beat me here, she said, sliding into the chair across from me, her latte already ordered at the counter. The jazz playlist was softer today, almost drowned out by the chatter, but I caught the faint notes of a saxophone, a melancholy thread weaving through the noise. Hey, I said, managing a smile that felt too tight. Rough morning. I gestured to her wet coat, trying to keep things light, but my voice betrayed me, a slight edge slipping through. She laughed, shaking her head. Just the rain. Miso knocked over my umbrella stand, so I was scrambling. Her fingers toyed with the edge of her cup, and I noticed a new ring on her index finger, silver with a small blue stone. It glinted in the dim light, and I wondered who gave it to her, then hated myself for the thought. We talked for a while, about her latest design project, a client who kept changing their mind, about my coding sprint, the kind that left my eyes burning by midnight. But the words felt like a dance around something unspoken, each pause heavier than the last. Finally, I couldn't hold it in. The rain tapped the window, a steady rhythm urging me forward. Lena, I said, my voice low, I saw you yesterday, in the park with some guy. I kept my tone even, not accusing, just stating a fact. You looked happy. I just wondered if you're, seeing someone. Her eyes widened, her hand freezing on her cup. For a moment, she didn't speak, and the silence stretched, thick with the scent of coffee and wet wool. Then she exhaled a sharp sound, almost a laugh, but not quite. Oh, God, you saw that? That was just Ethan, a co-worker. We were grabbing lunch, catching up. It's not what you think. Her words came fast, her cheeks flushing again, but there was a flicker in her eyes. Something uncertain, like she was convincing herself as much as me. I nodded, wanted to believe her, but the image of them lingered, his hand on her arm, her laugh so unguarded. Okay, I said, leaning back, my fingers tracing the edge of my notebook, now tucked in my jacket pocket. I didn't mean to pry. We're not, official or anything. You can do what you want. The words tasted bitter, like the coffee I still hadn't touched. She frowned, her brows knitting together. No, it's not like that. Ethan's just a friend. We've worked together for years. He's not you. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine, and the warmth of her touch sent a jolt through me, both comforting and confusing. I like this, she said, her voice softer now, almost a whisper. Us. These walks, these talks. I don't want you to think I'm playing games. I want to believe her, to let her words erase the doubt, but something in her tone, a hesitation, a crack, kept me on edge. Cool, I said, forcing a smile. Just wanted to check. We moved on, talking about a new exhibit at the art gallery, her eyes lighting up as she described a painting she loved, but the conversation felt like a bridge with cracks beneath the surface. I jotted a note in my notebook later. Back at home, the pen scratched a restless rhythm. Her smile, her touch, but a shadow lingers. The next few days, we kept meeting. Another walk through the city, the air sharp with the scent of fallen leaves and street vendors' chestnuts. A movie night at a tiny theater, her shoulder brushing mine in the dark. Each moment was warm, real, but tinged with that same unease. I caught her checking her phone more often, her thumbs pausing before typing, her laugh a beat too quick when I asked who it was. Just work, she'd say, but her eyes darted away and I didn't press. Then, on Saturday it unraveled. We were at a bookstore, the air heavy with the scent of old paper and ink, the wooden shelves towering around us. Lena was flipping through a graphic novel, her hair falling over one eye, when her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her face changed, softened, then tightened like she'd been caught. I couldn't help it. Ethan again? I asked, half joking, but my voice was too sharp. She froze, the book still open in her hands. Yeah, she admitted, her voice barely audible, but it's not what you think. She set the book down, her fingers trembling slightly, and looked at me, her eyes pleading. Can we talk? Like, really talk? We found a quiet corner, a bench tucked between stacks, the air still and heavy. She took a deep breath, her hands twisting in her lap. Ethan's not just a co-worker, she said, her words slow, deliberate. He's someone I've known forever. We dated years ago, before I moved here. It ended, but we stayed friends. Lately, he's been, I don't know, there, listening, and I got confused. My chest tightened, the bookstore's warmth suddenly stifling. Confused how? I asked, my voice steady but my hands gripping the bench, that would cool under my palms. I like you, she said, her eyes locking onto mine, raw and unguarded. A lot. These past weeks, they've been amazing. But Ethan, he knows me, the old me, and when he reached out again, it stirred things up. I don't know what I feel anymore. Her voice cracked, and she looked away, her fingers brushing that silver ring with the blue stone. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm figuring it out. I sat there, the weight of her words settling like rain on my shoulders. She was in love with both of us, or thought she was, and I was just a guy who'd spilled coffee with her, who'd walked with her, who'd started to imagine something more. Okay, I said finally, my voice hollow. So where does that leave us? I don't know, she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. I want to keep seeing you, but I need to be honest. I'm not ready to choose. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back, not out of anger, but because I needed space to breathe. I need to think, I said, standing, the bookstore's quiet hum fading into the background. Let's talk later. I walked out, the rain heavier now, soaking through my jacket, my notebook a sodden weight in my pocket. I didn't write that night. The pen silent, but her words echoed, step by step, toward a truth that left me tangled in her heart's divided tides. The rain didn't stop that night, hammering my apartment windows with a relentless rhythm that matched the churn in my chest. I sat on my couch, the worn fabric cool against my back, my notebook open on the coffee table, its pages curling from the dampness of my jacket. Lena's words echoed. I'm not ready to choose. Each syllable a weight, like the city's neon lights flickering through the blinds, casting jagged shadows across the room. I hadn't written since the bookstore, the pen lying idle, its silence louder than the storm outside. I wanted to be angry, to blame her for stringing me along, but the truth was Messier. I'd fallen for her hard in just weeks, and now I was adrift in her indecision. My apartment felt smaller, the air heavy with the scent of old coffee grounds and the faint hum of the fridge. I replayed our moments, the cafe spill, her laugh in the park, the warmth of her hand brushing mine in the theater. Each memory was vivid, sharp, but now tainted by the image of her with Ethan, his easy smile, the history she admitted they shared. I wasn't her boyfriend, not officially, but the ache in my chest didn't care about labels. I poured a glass of water, the glass cold in my hand, and stared at my phone. No new messages. I didn't expect any, but the blank screen stung anyway. The next morning, the rain had softened to a drizzle, the city waking under a gray veil, the streets slick and reflective. I went for a run, the wooden boardwalk along the river slick under my sneakers, the air sharp with the scent of wet leaves and distant exhaust. Each step was a question. Should I walk away, protect myself, or fight for something that might not even exist? My routine, once a comfort, felt hollow now, the gym and my coding desk waiting back home like relics of a simpler life. I stopped by the river, my breath visible in the cool air, and watched the water ripple, its surface a mirror to my tangled thoughts. I pulled out my notebook, the pen scratched a hesitant return, jotting her smile, her doubt, my choice, step by step. Toward what? That afternoon I texted Lena, keeping it light. Up for a walk? Need some air. Her reply came fast. Meet me at the pier 3 p.m.? And I felt a flicker of hope, or maybe desperation. The pier was a short bus ride away, the air alive with the briny scent of the river and the chatter of tourists, the wooden planks creaking underfoot as I arrived. Lena was already there, leaning against a railing, her green raincoat swapped for a gray sweater, her hair pulled back, the silver ring with the blue stone glinting on her finger. She smiled when she saw me, but it was fragile, like a cracked window holding against the wind. "Hey," she said, her voice soft, almost lost in the cry of a gull overhead. "Thanks for coming." She looked tired, her eyes shadowed, but they held that same spark I'd noticed in the cafe, the one that had pulled me in from the start. "Hey," I replied, shoving my hands in my pockets, the notebook a quiet weight against my chest. "Figured we should talk." I didn't know where to start, how to ask for clarity without sounding needy, but the words came anyway. "I've been thinking about what you said, about you and Ethan. I'm trying to understand, but it's hard." She nodded, her gaze dropping to water, its surface rippling under the gray sky. "I know," she said, her fingers twisting the ring. "I owe you more than what I gave you at the bookstore. I've been a mess, trying to sort out." She paused, taking a deep breath, the air sharp between us. "Ethan and I, we have history. Not just dating, but years of friendship. He was there when my dad got sick, when I didn't know if I'd make it through. But it's not love, not anymore. At least, I don't think so." Her words were a lifeline in a trap, pulling me closer while keeping me at a distance. "Then why the confusion?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. "You said you're not ready to choose. What does that mean for us?" She turned to me, her eyes searching mine, raw and unguarded. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice breaking. "You're different, new. You make me laugh, make me feel seen in a way I haven't in a long time. But Ethan's familiar, safe. I got scared, wondering if I'm chasing something with you that might not last." She stepped closer, her hand reaching for mine, but I didn't move. "Not yet. I'm not playing you," she said. I just need time to be sure. Time. The word hung between us, heavy as the damp air. I wanted her to choose now, to pick me or let me go, but the thought of losing her, the spark, the walks, the way she hummed off-key to jazz, stopped me. Okay, I said finally, my voice low, but I can't wait forever, Lena. I'm not built for that. She nodded, tears brimming but not falling. I know. I'm trying, I promise. We walked along the pier, the wooden planks groaning under our steps, the city's neon lights flickering to life in the distance. We talked about lighter things, her cat, my latest coding bug, but the weight of her confession lingered, a shadow we couldn't outrun. I felt her hand brush mine, and this time I let her take it. Her fingers warmed despite the chill. It wasn't an answer, but it was something. That evening, back in my apartment, the rain had stopped, leaving the air heavy with the scent of wet pavement drifting through the open window. I sat at my desk, the wooden surface cluttered with code printouts, my notebook open beside me. I wrote, the pen scratch a release. Her hand in mine, her heart divided, my patience thinning. I thought of Ethan, his easy familiarity, and wondered if I could compete with a past that knew her so well. My phone buzzed, a photo from Lena, her cat sprawled on her couch, captioned, Miso says hi. I smiled despite myself and typed back, tell Miso he's got competition. The next day, I saw her again, this time at a small jazz club she'd mentioned loving. The air was thick with the scent of whiskey and the hum of a saxophone, the wooden tables crowded with couples and friends. Lena wore a black dress, simple but striking, her hair loose, the blue stone ring catching the stage lights. We sat close, our knees brushing, and for a while it felt like before, easy alive. But then her phone lit up, Ethan's name flashing on the screen, and she silenced it quickly, her smile faltering. Sorry, she said, tucking the phone away. He's just checking in. But her eyes didn't meet mine, and the music couldn't drown out the question in my head. Was I a placeholder, a distraction from her real choice? I didn't ask, not then. Instead, I ordered another drink, the glass cool against my palm, and focused on the music, her presence beside me both a comfort and a challenge. Later, as we walked home, the city quiet under a starless sky, she stopped suddenly, her breath visible in the cold. I'm going to talk to Ethan tomorrow, she said, her voice firm but trembling. Really talk. I need to figure this out, for both of us. She looked at me, her eyes pleading for understanding, and I nodded, my heart a tangle of hope and dread. All right, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Let me know what you decide. We parted ways, her silhouette fading into the neon-lit street, and I walked home alone, the notebook heavy in my pocket. I wrote that night, the pen scratched a confession, her promise, my weight, a choice looming, step by step, toward an answer I might not survive. The morning after Lena's promise dawned heavy, the city cloaked in a fog that muffled the usual hum of traffic. I woke to the faint drip of condensation from my apartment's leaky window, the air cool and damp, carrying the scent of wet concrete from the street below. My notebook lay open on the bedside table, its pages creased from restless nights. The last entry, her promise, my weight, staring back like a challenge. I hadn't slept well, my dreams a tangle of Lena's hesitant smile and Ethan's shadow, their laughter blending into the rain that still lingered in my memory. I poured coffee, the familiar bitterness grounding me, and sat at my desk, the wooden surface cluttered with code notes and a single photo from our movie night, her head tilted against mine, both of us grinning. The wait for her decision felt like holding my breath underwater, unsure if I'd surface or sink. Work was a blur, my computer screen a haze of code I barely registered. My co-workers' voices drifted past, their chatter about deadlines and lunch plans a distant hum. I kept checking my phone, each notification, a spam email, a gym reminder, tightening the knot in my chest. Lena hadn't texted, not since last night's. I'll let you know, as we parted under the neon glow of a street sign. I wanted to trust her promise to talk to Ethan, to believe she'd choose clarity. But doubt gnawed at me. What if she'd picked him, his years of history outweighing our fleeting weeks? What if I was just a spark, a distraction from her past? I scribbled in my notebook during a break. The pen scratched a jagged pulse. Her silence, my fear, a choice I can't control. Step by step, toward what? By afternoon, the fog had lifted, leaving the city sharp and glistening, the air alive with the scent of wet pavement and street vendors' sizzling grills. I couldn't stay cooped up, so I walked to the riverfront, the wooden boardwalk slick under my sneakers, the water below reflecting a sky bruised with clouds. I stopped at a bench, the same one where Lena and I had shared tacos, her laugh echoing in my memory. I tried to imagine life without her, back to my routine, my solitary nights. But the thought felt hollow, like a book with missing pages. I typed a message to her, then deleted it, the cursor blinking like my own indecision. Finally, I sent, "Hey, hope you're okay. Here when you're ready." It felt like tossing a stone into a void, no ripple in return. Her reply came at dusk, as I sat in a small diner, the air thick with the scent of fries and clatter of plates, the wooden counter sticky under my elbows. "Can we meet? Park, 7 p.m.? My heart lurched, a mix of relief and dread. I paid for my untouched burger and headed out, the city's neon lights flickering to life, casting long shadows across the pavement. The park was quiet, the air cool with the scent of grass and distant rain, the wooden benches damp from the day's mist. Lena was already there, sitting with her knees drawn up, her green scarf loose around her neck, the blue stone ring catching the glow of a nearby street lamp. "Hey!" I said, sitting beside her, the bench creaking under my weight. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her face pale, but she managed a small smile, fragile as a fog that still clung to the edges of the park. "Hey!" she replied, her voice soft, almost lost in the rustle of leaves overhead. "I talked to Ethan." She paused, her fingers twisting the scarf, and I braced myself, the air heavy between us. "I told him we need space, that I'm trying to figure out what I want, and it's not fair to anyone to keep blurring lines." I nodded, my throat tight. "And what do you want?" The question slipped out, raw and unguarded, my hands gripping the bench, the wood cool and grounding. She looked at me, her eyes searching, a storm of emotions flickering in their depths. "I want you," she said, her voice trembling but clear. "These weeks with you, they've been real, more real than anything I felt in a long time. But I'm scared. Ethan sees my past, and I thought I needed that safety. But you make me want to be brave, to try something new." She reached for my hand, her fingers cold but firm, and I let her hold it, the warmth of her touch cutting through my doubt. Then why the hesitation? I asked, my voice softer now, though the knot in my chest hadn't fully loosened. "If you want me, why does it feel like you're still halfway out the door?" She exhaled, a shaky sound, and looked down at our joined hands. "Because I'm not perfect. I got caught up in Ethan's familiarity, in the idea of not losing someone who's been there forever. But I told him today, I'm done looking back. I want to move forward with you, if you'll let me." Her eyes met mine again, pleading, and for a moment, I saw the Lena from the café, the one who'd laughed over spilled coffee, unguarded and open. I wanted to believe her, to let her words rebuild the spark I'd felt. But a part of me, the part that saw her with Ethan, that felt the weight of her indecision, held back. "I want that too," I said finally, my voice steady but heavy. "But I need you to be sure, Lena. No more shadows, no more half-choices. I'm all in, but I can't do this alone." She nodded, tears spilling now, catching the light like tiny prisms. "I'm sure," she whispered. "I'm here. Just give me a chance to prove it." She squeezed my hand, and I squeezed back, the bench a quiet anchor beneath us. The cities hum a distant lullaby. We walked to the park, the air crisp with the scent of pine and wet earth, our steps slow, deliberate. We didn't talk much, but her hand stayed in mine, a promise I wanted to trust. The neon lights of a nearby bar flickered, casting a soft glow across her face, and for a moment, it felt like the start of something new, fragile but possible. Back home, I opened my notebook, the pen scratched a cautious hope. Her choice, my trust, a path uncertain, step by step, toward us. But the next morning, doubt crept back. I woke to a text from an unknown number, a photo of Lena and Ethan, taken weeks ago, their smiles close and familiar, captioned, "She's not who you think." My stomach dropped. The apartment's quiet hum deafening. The sender was anonymous, but the timing felt deliberate, a crack in the fragile trust we'd started to rebuild. I stare at the photo, Lena's laugh frozen in time, and wonder if I'd been naive to believe her choice was final. I didn't write in my notebook, the pen silent. As I sat at my desk, the wooden surface a reminder of a routine I no longer wanted, but might have to face again, step by step, toward a truth that could break me. The morning after that anonymous text broke with a brittle clarity, the city outside my apartment window glowing under a rare, cloudless sky. I sat at my desk, the wooden surface cool under my palms, my phone face down beside my untouched coffee, its bitter steam curling like the doubts twisting in my gut. The photo of Lena and Ethan, her smile wide, his arm brushing hers, burned in my mind, the caption, "She's not who you think," a splinter I couldn't pull out. I'd wanted to trust her promise from the park, her hand in mine, her vow to move forward with me. But this message, dropped like a stone into still water, rippled through everything. I opened my notebook, the pen scratch hesitant. Her choice, my doubt, a photo that lies, step by step, toward what truth? I didn't text Lena right away. My fingers hovered over the screen, the urge to confront her warring with the fear of what she'd say. Instead, I tried to trace a number, but a quick search yielded nothing. Just a burner app, anonymous and untrackable. Someone wanted me to see this, to question her, but why? Ethan, stirring trouble? A friend, jealous of her choice? Or worse, was it proof she hadn't been honest? The city's hum drifted through the open window, the air sharp at the scent of fresh asphalt and distant bakery bread. But it couldn't drown out the noise in my head. I needed answers, not just from her, but from myself. Did I trust her enough to ask, or was I already halfway out the door? Work was impossible. My code a blur of errors I didn't care to fix. I left early, heading to the café where it all began, as if the familiar wooden tables and jazz playlists could anchor me. The air was warm with the scent of roasted beans and cinnamon. The midday crowd a low hum of laughter and clinking cups. I sat by the window, the glass clear now, reflecting the city's pulse. Buses rumbling, pedestrians weaving, neon signs dormant in the daylight. I pulled out my notebook, sketching absent-mindedly, Lena's face taking shape in rough lines, her eyes a question mark. I wrote, a photo, a shadow, my heart on hold. Lena texted at noon. Dinner tonight? My place 7? My thumb froze over the reply. I wanted to see her, to hear her voice, but the photo loomed, a crack in the frame of us. I typed, "Sure, sounds good," and added, "Can we talk about something?" Vague enough to keep her from bolting. Pointed enough to signal I wasn't letting this slide. Her reply was quick. "Of course. Everything okay?" And I left it unanswered, the weight of the unknown too heavy for a text. Her apartment was a short walk from the river, in a brick building with ivy creeping up its walls. The evening air was cool, carrying the scent of grilled meat from a nearby food truck, and the faint hum of the city's nightlife waking up. I climbed the narrow stairs, the wooden steps creaking, my heart thudding with each one. Lena opened the door before I knocked, her smile bright but edged with worry, her dark hair loose, the blue stone ring glinting on her finger. "Hey," she said, stepping aside. "Come in. I'm making pasta." The apartment smelled of garlic and basil, the air warm from the stove. Her cat, Miso, sprawled on a windowsill, eyeing me lazily. The wooden table was set for 2, a candle flickering between plates, and for a moment I wanted to forget the photo, to sink into this domestic warmth. But as we sat, the pasta steaming, her eyes searching mine, I couldn't dodge it anymore. "Lena," I said, my fork idle, "I got a text this morning. A photo of you and Ethan from a few weeks ago. Someone sent it. Said you're not who I think." Her face paled, her fork clattering against the plate. "What?" she whispered, her voice a mix of shock and something else, guilt, maybe, or fear. "Who sent it?" She reached for her phone, then stopped, her hands trembling. "Can I see it?" I slid my phone across the table, the photo glaring on the screen. She stared at it, her lips parting, then pressed tight. This was a work event, a team dinner, she said. Her words rushed. Ethan was there, yeah, but it was nothing. Just colleagues. She looked up, her eyes pleading. I don't know who sent this, but it's not what it looks like. I told you I'm done with him. I wanted to believe her, but the caption echoed. She's not who you think. Then why the secrecy? I asked, my voice low, steady despite the churn inside. Why does someone want to doubt you? And why does it feel like you're still hiding something? The candle's flame flickered, casting shadows across her face, and the room felt smaller, the air thick with unspoken truths. She leaned back, her hands twisting in her lap. I haven't been hiding, she said, but her voice cracked, betraying her. Okay, maybe I wasn't totally open. Ethan, he texted me after I told him we needed space. He didn't take it well, said he still cares. I didn't reply, I swear, but I didn't block him either. I thought I could handle it. Her eyes filled with tears, and she wiped them away, her ring catching the light. I'm not in love with him. I'm in love with you, but I'm scared I've messed this up. Her words hit like a wave, both a relief and a wound. She loved me, or thought she did, but Ethan's shadow lingered, not just in her heart, but in someone's vendetta. Who would send this? I asked, my voice sharper now. Someone's trying to sabotage us. Any ideas? She shook her head, her face crumpling. Maybe a coworker? Someone who saw us at the event? I don't know. Ethan has friends who think I'm wrong for cutting him off. She reached for my hand, her fingers cold. I'm so sorry. I should have been clearer with him. With you? I'm trying to fix this. I let her hold my hand, but the warmth I'd felt before was muted, overshadowed by the photo's stark reality. I want to trust you, I said, my voice heavy. But this hurts, Lena. I need to know you're all in, no loose ends. I pulled my hand back, the distance between us a chasm I hadn't expected. She nodded, tears falling freely now. I am, she whispered. Give me one more chance. I'll block him. I'll figure out who sent this. I don't want to lose you. Her voice broke, and for a moment, I saw the Lena from the cafe, vulnerable and real, the one who'd spill coffee and laugh with me. We didn't finish the pasta. I left soon after, needing air, needing space. The city was alive outside, the neon lights of bars and shops pulsing, the air sharp with the scent of rain and street food. I walked along the river, the wooden boardwalk damp under my feet, the water reflecting the city's glow. I pulled out my notebook, the pen scratch a release, her love, her past, a photo's poison, step by step, toward a choice I dread. Back home, my phone buzzed, a text from Lena, a screenshot of Ethan's number blocked, followed by, I'm yours, please believe me. I stared at it, the cities hum a distant lullaby, and wondered if trust could be rebuilt from such fragile pieces. The notebook lay open, its pages a map of my heart's uncertain path, and I didn't write again that night. The pen silent, waiting for a truth I could hold on to. The morning after our tense dinner broke with restless glow, the city outside my apartment window shimmering under a pale sun, the air crisp with the scent of dew and distant coffee carts. I sat at my desk, the wooden surface cluttered with empty mugs and my notebook, its pages now a chronicle of hope and hesitation. Lena's text, I'm yours. Please believe me, still lingered on my phone, the screenshot of Ethan's block number a fragile proof of her intent. But the anonymous photo, its caption, she's not who you think, gnawed at me, a crack in the trust one wanted to rebuild. I sipped coffee, its bitterness a mirror to my indecision, and wrote, the pen scratched a tentative rhythm. Her vow, my heart, a shadow persists, step by step, toward trust or ruin. I spent the day distracted, my coding work a haze of half-finished lines, my mind circling Lena's tearful plea and the mystery of that photo. Who sent it and why now? The city's unfiltered to my office window, the air alive with the clatter of construction and faint horns, but couldn't quiet the questions. I needed to see her, to test the fragile bridge we were building, so I texted, free tonight? Maybe a low-key walk. Her reply was instant, yes. Park at 6? I miss you. The words warmed me, but the photo's shadow lingered, a chill I couldn't shake. The park was bathed in golden light, the air thick with the scent of blooming jasmine and freshly cut grass, the wooden paths winding past joggers and dog walkers. Lena waited by a fountain, her dark hair loose, her green scarf swapped for a denim jacket, the blue stone ring catching the fading sun. Her smile was cautious but real, and when she hugged me, her warmth cut to the cool evening, a reminder of why I was here. "Hey," she said, her voice soft. "I'm glad you texted." "Hey," I replied, my hands in my pockets, the notebook a quiet weight against my chest. "Me too." We walked, our steps sinking on the wooden boards, the city's neon lights flickering to life in the distance. We talked about small things, her latest design pitch, my struggle with a buggy app, but the ease felt fragile, like a melody played on a cracked string. I didn't mention the photo, not yet, wanting to feel her presence without the weight of doubt. We stopped at a bench, the wood cool under my palms, the fountain's soft gurgle a backdrop to our quiet. "I meant what I said last night," Lena started, her eyes meeting mine, steady but vulnerable. "I'm all in. I know I messed up not cutting Ethan off sooner, but I'm trying to make it right." She pulled out her phone, showing me her blocked contact again. Ethan's name stark against the screen, and I'm asking around at work about that photo. I think maybe it's someone stirring trouble. I nodded, the knot in my chest loosening slightly. "I want to believe you," I said, my voice low. "But that message, it wasn't random. Someone wants me to doubt you." "Why?" I watched her face, searching for a flinch, a lie, but she only sighed, her fingers twisting the ring. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I'll find out. I promise." She reached for my hand, her touch warm, and this time I held on, letting the moment anchor me. We sat there, the park's fading into dusk, and for the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope, a chance to move past the shadows. The next day, I decided to dig deeper. The anonymous number was a dead end, but the photo setting, a dimly lit bar, crowded with people, looked familiar. I scoured my memories, then Lena's Instagram, finding a post from the same night, a group shot from her work event. Ethan was there, but so were others, their faces blurred in the background. I zoomed in, my heart racing, and spotted a woman in the corner, her eyes fixed on Lena, her expression unreadable. I didn't know her, but the intensity in her gaze felt personal, a clue to the photo sender. I met Lena for lunch at a small deli, the air thick with the scent of pastrami and pickles, the wooden tables crowded with office workers. She wore a simple sweater, her hair pulled back, and smiled when she saw me, but her eyes were tired, shadowed by the same worry I carried. "Any luck with the photo?" I asked, sliding into the booth, my notebook tucked in my bag. She shook her head, biting her lip. "Not yet. I asked my boss about the event, but no one remembers anything weird. I'm starting to think I'm paranoid." She paused, her fork poking at her salad. "But I keep wondering, what if it's someone I know? Someone who doesn't want me to move on." I hesitated, then showed her the Instagram post, pointing out the woman in the background. "Does she look familiar?" I asked, my voice calm but urgent. Lena frowned, zooming in, her face shifting from confusion to recognition. "That's Clara," she said, her voice barely audible. "She's a friend of Ethan's from college. She was at the event, but we didn't talk much." She looked up, her eyes wide. "You think she sent it?" "Maybe," I said, my mind racing. "If she's close to Ethan, she might not like you cut him off." The pieces fit, Clara's stare, the timing of the text, but it didn't ease the ache. If she sent it, what else was she hiding? And what did it mean for us? That evening, Lena called, her voice tense. "I confronted Clara," she said, the words rushing out. She admitted it. She sent the photo, said she was protecting Ethan, that I'm stringing him along. I told her it's over with him, that I'm with you, but she didn't believe me. Lena's voice cracked, and I could hear her pacing, the wooden floor creaking in the background. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know she'd go this far." I sat on my couch, the city's neon glow filtering through the blinds, the air heavy with the scent of rain threatening to return. "It's not your fault," I said, though the words fell hollow. But it's a lot, Lena. I'm trying to trust you, but every time I do, something pulls me back. My notebook lay open, the pen idle, its silence a mirror to my hesitation. I know, she whispered. I'm cutting her out too. No more ties to Ethan, no more drama. Just us. Can we try? Her plea hung in the air, raw and desperate, and I closed my eyes, picturing her in the cafe, her laugh, her spilled coffee, the spark that started it all. Okay, I said finally, my voice steady but heavy. Let's try. But no more secrets. Lena, I can't handle another shadow. She agreed, her relief palpable even through the phone, and we made plans to meet tomorrow, a fresh start under the city's open sky. Back in my apartment, the air cool with the scent of night, I wrote in my notebook, the pen scratched a cautious hope. Her truth, my leap, a shadow fades, step by step, toward a love worth risking. But as I closed the book, my phone buzzed again, another unknown number, this time a voice message. I played it, my heart sinking at Clara's voice, sharp and cold. You're a fool if you think she's done with Ethan. The city's hum swallowed the silence, and I sat there, the notebook heavy in my hands, wondering if trust was a bridge we could ever fully cross. The night Clara's voice message sliced in my apartment's quiet. The city outside hummed with restless energy, its neon lights pulsing through blinds, casting jagged stripes across my wooden floor. I sat on the couch, my phone cold in my hand. Her words, you're a fool if you think she's done with Ethan, looping in my mind like a broken record. The air was heavy with the scent of rain-soaked pavement and the faint tang of my untouched coffee left cooling on the desk. My notebook lay open, its pages a map of my heart's journey with Lena. Spilled coffee, park walks, her tearful vows, and now this, another shadow threatening to unravel everything. I didn't write, the pen silent, as I stared at the ceiling, wondering if love was worth this constant tug-of-war. Step by step, I'd walked toward trust, but each step seemed to lead to a new crack. Morning brought no clarity, the city waking under a pale, watery sky, the air sharp with the scent of wet leaves and distant exhaust. I showered, the hot water doing little to loosen the knot in my chest, and dressed mechanically, my notebook tucked into my jacket, a habit I couldn't shake. Lena's promise, just us, no more secrets, felt fragile, undermined by Clara's venom, but I couldn't ignore the spark that had drawn me to her, the warmth of her laugh, the way her eyes crinkled in the cafe's soft light. I needed to see her, not to accuse, but to understand, to decide if we could salvage this or if I was chasing a ghost. I texted, can we meet? Coffee shop noon. Her reply was swift. I'll be there. Everything okay? And I left it unanswered, the weight of Clara's message too heavy for words. The cafe was quieter than usual. The air wore with the scent of roasted beans and fresh pastries, the wooden tables gleaming under the midday sun streaming through the windows. I arrived early, claiming our usual spot, the glass clear and reflecting the city's pulse. Bicycles whizzing, pedestrians chatting, neon signs dormant but waiting for dusk. My coffee sat untouched, steam curling like my spiraling thoughts, and I pulled out my notebook, sketching the fountain where we'd sat in the park, Lena's silhouette a faint outline. I wrote, her love, my doubt, a voice that haunts. Step by step toward an end, Lena walked in at 11:58, her denim jacket loose, her dark hair pulled back, the blue stone ring glinting on her finger. Her smile was tentative, her eyes shadowed with worry, and she slid into the chair across from me, her latte already ordered. Hey, she said, her voice soft, almost lost in the jazz playlist gentle hum. You look serious. What's going on? I took a breath, the air thick between us, and slid my phone across the table, the voice message queued but unplayed. I got this last night, I said, my voice low, steady despite the churn inside. From Clara. She says you're not done with Ethan. I need to know the truth. Lena, no more surprises. I watched her face, searching for a flinch, a lie, but her eyes widened, then hardened, a mix of shock and anger. She what? Lena's voice rose, drawing a glance from a nearby barista. She grabbed my phone. playing the message, her jaw tightening as Clara's words filled the space. "This is insane," she muttered, setting the phone down with a clatter. "I told her I'm done with Ethan. I blocked him. I cut her off. Why is she doing this?" Her hands trembled, and she looked at me, her eyes pleading. "You have to believe me. I'm not lying. I chose you. I wanted to. God, I wanted to." Her voice, raw and desperate, echoed to Lena, who'd spilled coffee on me, who'd laughed over tacos, who'd held my hand in the park. But Clara's message, the photo, the constant shadows, they'd worn me down. "I'm trying," I said, my voice heavy. "But it's hard when every time I let my guard down, something else hits. Why is Clara so convinced you're still tied to him? What's she seeing that I'm not?" Lena leaned back, her fingers twisting the ring, her face crumpling. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice breaking. Maybe Ethan's feeding her lies. He didn't take our talk well, said he'd wait for me to come to my senses. I told him no, but he's stubborn. Clara's his best friend. She's probably clinging to his version of things." She paused, tears brimming, and reached for my hand. "I'm not going back to him. I love you. I'm here right now with you." Her words were a lifeline, but the cracks remained, etched by weeks of doubt. I held her hand, her touch warm but not enough to erase the chill. "I love you, too," I said, the words true but heavy. "But love isn't enough if I can't trust you. I need to know this is over. For good. No more messages, no more ghosts." My voice wavered, and I hated it, hated how vulnerable I felt, but I couldn't hide anymore. She nodded, tears falling now, catching the light like tiny sparks. "It's over," she whispered. "I'll do whatever it takes. I'll confront Ethan myself in person, make it crystal clear. And Clara, I'll block her everywhere. Just don't give up on us." Her plea hung in the air, and I saw the Lena I'd fallen for, flawed but fighting, her heart laid bare. We left the café, the city alive around us, the air sharp with the scent of street vendors' chestnuts in distant rain. We walked to the riverfront, the wooden boardwalk familiar under our feet, the water reflecting a sky streaked with gold. Lena called Ethan on speaker, her voice firm as she told him, "It's done. No more contact. I'm with someone else, and I'm happy." His silence was heavy, then a curt, "Fine," before the call ended. She blocked his number again, showing me the screen, and did the same with Clara's. "There," she said, her eyes searching mine. "No more shadows." I nodded, the knot in my chest loosening, not gone but softer. "Okay," I said, my voice steady now. "Let's try this, really try." We stood by the river, her hand in mine, the city's neon lights flickering to life, a promise of something new. Back home, I opened my notebook, the pen scratched a quiet triumph. Her choice, my trust, a new beginning, step by step, toward us. Months later, the city felt different, warmer, its pulse syncing with ours. Lena and I built something real. No more anonymous texts, no more ghosts. We moved slowly, savoring coffee dates, park walks, her cat napping on my lap. The café where we met became our ritual, the wooden tables a witness to our laughter, our quiet moments, our love. I wrote one final entry in my notebook, the pen scratched a love letter. Her spill my heart, a story worth keeping. Step by step, forever hers.